In this video, I'm just going to walk through where the reports are in Xero and how to add them as favourites, and one or two of the reports that you might want to consider running as part of keeping your business in order. So here we are on the dashboard on Xero. To get to reports, we click on the reports option at the top of the screen, and then you're presented with any of your reports that you've marked as favourite. What we'll do is we'll go to all reports for the time being, and that'll give us access to all the reports that are available in Xero by default. Xero's got some great functionality in it where you can edit reports, so you could perhaps start off and run an existing report, which might be a profit and loss account, and then you can add columns of data to it. You can tweak it so it summarises information rather than gives you too much detail, or vice versa, give you a lot more detail than summarising it. And you can save those as custom reports. But what we're going to do is just run through what's available on the summary tab for the time being, and show you how to mark them as favourites. So first instance, we've got our financial section. So this is typically very traditional accounting records, so balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow manager, cash flow statement, things like that. This is used for high level views of how the business is performing. Total income, total expense, profit for a particular period, strength of the company through the balance sheets, things like that. Let's say, for example, we wanted to review how strong the business had gone. We just simply click on profit and loss at this point, and then just go about editing the dates that we're looking at. For example, here you can see that it's brought in the last 4 months worth of data and a year-to-date figure as well. If you wanted to tweak some layouts, we could sort of say, right, year-to-date progress, month-to-date, current financial year, actual versus budgets, things like that. And you're also able to export them or print these reports as well. So that's just a typical example of a profit and loss without even tweaking anything in Xero. So if we go back to reports, so that's basically the financial section. We have, moving over to the right, we have a sales and purchases section. So in here we might have some reports to do with how many sales have come from particular customers, what sales have gone to particular categories. So if you have different types of sales, so sale of goods, sale of services, you might want to split that down and see how one's compared to the other one. In this instance, we're going to say, actually, we're interested in looking at age receivables, and I'd like to add that onto my reports menu at the top. You see there's very few reports marked as favourite on here. So if I just choose the star button here, that adds it as a favourite. And then when you go to reports, when we refresh the screen, you will see that age receivables appears on this menu. But in this instance, I'm just going to click age receivables, and this report's just going to show me who owes me money at a particular point in time. It will typically default to today, so it's the total amount of money that's owed to the business as at today. This is only updated as long as you keep your bank up to date. So if you've gone a week or a month without uploading or entering any bank information, then Xero doesn't know that these customers may have paid off their invoices because you haven't been keeping your bank up to date. So certainly keep your bank up to date, and this report will give you a lot of useful live information. You don't want to be contacting customers chasing up debts when they say, actually, I paid you last week. If you'd bothered to keep your records up to date, you'd have found that. So rather than sour relations, keep your records up to date, and this will help you out immensely. So if you go back to reports, similarly with suppliers, so if we wanted to keep a log of who we owe money to, age payables is the report in question. If we click on that, it will give us a snapshot of how much money we owe out at this point in time. Again, we can tweak it by month. We can say how much did we owe at the end of last month, how much do we owe now, that kind of thing. But again, as long as you keep your bank up to date, then these records or this report will be kept up to date, and it will show you owe this money. And as we can see, there's a lot of money owed in the older column, so I'm surprised that some of these suppliers haven't started chasing that up yet. So that's age payables, or age creditors as used to be known in the industry. And just moving down, just having a look through some of the other reports that we've got. Tax, very useful. So as you can see, we've favorited the VAT return. So one of the benefits of having cloud accounting software is that they will be ready for making tax digital once that starts in April 2019. So you wouldn't need to worry about anything. You simply carry on recording your information and you just press submit as you normally do, and all the new information goes to the relevant part of HMRC's website and database. So that return just keeps you up to date of how much money you're owed or owe HMRC. Inventory, again, I've mentioned on some other Xero videos that if we maintain stock in Xero, so if we buy goods in and sell those out, enabling stock on Xero will be useful, and these reports will give you an indication of how much is in stock right now across all your product lines, best sellers, slow movers, that kind of thing. So yeah, if you wanted to favourite those would be added to the menu at the top. And just a few other extra sections. Accounting, mainly for your accountant, stuff like journals, general ledger, trial balances. This is information that allows your accountant to really drill down into the summary figures. So trial balance will give us an indication of the balance of every single nominal or category on your accounts, such as how much is in the petty cash tin at a particular date, how much is in the bank account at a particular date, who owes you money, what assets you have, how much depreciation has gone against those assets, who you owe money to, how many shares are in the business, and how many historic profits are available to declare as dividends if you so wish to. So those reports tend to be more account focused or accountant focused. Very useful for business owners. It's just sometimes it can be quite difficult to understand them if you haven't got much of a financial background. So perhaps maybe when you first start using Xero, maybe use these in conjunction with contact with your accountant. And just some of the other sections then. Fixed assets is just keeping a log of what assets you owe. So an example might be if you bought a computer, it would go on what we call a fixed asset register. The computer is marked down as being bought for £1,000, and we write that down over so many years. We call that depreciation. And these reports just indicate what assets you still have in the business, what they're worth, and if you decided to sell them, how much you think you should get back for them, that kind of thing. And finally, payroll. We have our own payroll bureau, so what we would normally recommend in the first instance is if you're setting up a business or if you're trying to maintain your own records, rather than burden yourself with the complexity of payroll, allow us to do that for perhaps the first year, just until you get comfortable with Xero. And then you could start doing the payroll yourself through your own records, adding on the gross pay, any bonus, any deductions from staff, any attachment of earnings, updating tax codes, things like that. So that can all be done through Xero. And certainly if you needed some reports on that, or needed to file, year-end P60s, things like that to your employees at the end of each tax year, those are accessible here. So just to confirm then, the reports menu at the top, you will now see that we refreshed the screen when we went in and out of those reports. The age payables have now appeared on this menu item, so it's like a quick access. If you start something on here, it will mean it's on the quick access report option. Just to give you a quick heads up then before the end of the video, there's a few tabs across the top, which is basically, we'll just run through them. Custom, as I've mentioned, if you run a report and start adding columns, or tidying up certain figures, making them smaller or consolidated, and you save them, those reports that you have effectively created would be accessible through this custom menu. And again, you could favorite them if you wanted to. Any draft reports or published reports, so that's where you've started working on something and that you want to print or send out to individuals in the business or your accountant, those will appear here as being items that you have sent out. Filed with HMRC, so an example of this might be your VAT return. So when you run a VAT return for a particular quarter and you finalise it and send it to HMRC, that report will get saved in here so that you always have a historic log of what was sent, and we can always get back to that original report. And then archived, anything that we've sort of put away and we don't want to use anymore on Xero, and we don't want the risk of people accessing that particular type of report just because it might not be as useful as it used to be. So hopefully that's helped, guys. If you have got any questions, please feel free to get in touch. We're always happy to help. Thanks for watching.